Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. This is Denise Armenio, and we are here for today's Inside Health Apps Thursday Live to work with the Genius app. And I have Claire McIntyre here with me, helping me, assisting with me. And today we are going to work, instead of working on a specific person or a group of people, we decided to work on the Lahaina, Maui and the fires, and to see if we can offer any assistance through the quantum field that way to help in any way we can. So without further ado, I am just going to start to share my screen here. And you should be able to see that. Let me just get my other, need to have the chat up so I can see everybody. Okay, so I am going to enter the name of the place here. Lahaina Maui. And we're just going to use today's date. So today is August. It's the 17th, 2023. And we can just leave it at female. That makes no difference. And I will hit continue with new analysis. And we can just hit begin. We will not have a voice or a picture today, so I'm just going to hit skip. Our energetic affirmation can still be all energies are transmuted into the frequency of pure love. And so it is. Okay, and by clicking this, the Genius will translate this affirmation into a frequency, and it will be overlaid every time we run frequencies throughout this session today. So now we can hit begin analysis. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is just look at the aura. It is showing up here first. And the bio field is showing that that's the priority to work on. So I'm just going to click on the aura and hit begin analysis. And we could just remove the avatar for just a second while we look at this. Whoa. It looks a little bit blurry. We do have a lot of nice colors in here, but this black just outside the physical body does not look good at all. And with good reason. That is why we're working on Lahaina today. So hopefully we can work with clearing some of that. We can also switch to the old version. And again, it does look pretty dark. You could see a lot of gray in there. So that's what we are working with today. So I just want to recap a little bit. I know I go over it every week, but it always helps for those who may be new here or may watch the replay, what the colors and the numbers mean. So I just wanted to explain that the Genius uses a numerical value system. It ranges from 0 to 777. and it is divided into 4 segments or 4 ranges. The first one is represented by the color blue, and it's from 0 to 200. And we just expanded the ranges a little bit. It used to be 0 to 100, and now blue is observed to be 0 to 200. And the items, the blue represents chronic energetic disturbances that can also be seen as under energy or stagnant energy. The next range begins at 201 and goes to 450, and that is represented by the color green. And then from there, we go from 451 to 599, and that is represented by the color yellow. And then lastly, we have 600 to 777 is represented by the color red, and that is observed to be acute energetic disturbances, meaning that the energetic disturbance or stress is happening now in the present. It can also be referred to as over energy or heat or inflammation. So then the range that I like to see to work on is anything between really 400 and 600 would be your more balanced items. I'm not going to use the word normal because we're just looking for things to be in balance. So ideally, you would like to see things between 400 and 600 as the range. The first thing I like to do when starting a session, or whether it's working on a home, a place, a person, an animal, anything, because you can really run frequencies on anything because everything is energy. So, but where I'd like to begin is what we like to refer to as preparing or priming the body. In this case, we're preparing Lahaina so that it can take in frequencies more readily. So I would like to go to my custom libraries to find a library that I already have set up and prepared for that. If you don't have the priming vessel library in the bioterrain, I recommend that you add all the items from the biofield and then add your minerals, vitamins, and amino acids from the body into the main hold tray. But since I already have the library already made, let's just go there. And we can hit begin analysis. Okay, and then I'm just going to pull down on this little, in the center on this little up arrow and go to the search, and I'm just going to hit bioterrain. And here is the vessel priming frequencies. So I'm just going to drag this whole line down to the main hold tray, and that adds all 156 items. The 157th item, just so everybody knows, in case they're wondering, is the name of this library. So that's where the 157 comes from. And we can now go click on the play button down on the bottom left on the white banner that says main hold tray. And we can begin the analysis on these frequencies. I'm going to move the timer to 1 minute, and I'm going to select all, and I will hit play. Now, there is a sound being produced because we haven't yet figured out the interface between the Genius and Zoom with all the new updates. So even though you're not hearing the sound, it is playing, and the frequencies are also going through the quantum field. So it is all working as it should. Okay, so now you can see, well, the Genius is telling us that the client did an excellent job here, and that is because the average percent rectification is above 40%. And it's in fact 62%. You can see that on the bottom of the screen, across the bottom. And then you'll also notice the harmony, alignment, and energy flow. Those items are all within a 20% range. So that is good. If this range was expanded and greater than 20%, I would recommend running the frequencies again until the percent rectification was over 40 and that those three were within 20% of each other. But because this is, we had a good rectification here, that's great. I'm going to go to the top right and hit rescan.
Can I just read out to you what the 639 was? The solfeggio it says connecting to spirit, relationship, harmony, and healing. And then the other one was 963, which was hold on. 963, which was awaken original perfect state.
Okay, so, well, that one now seems to be medium, so that's better. I'm looking for the, whoops, I don't want to do that. 369.
639, I think it was. There it is.
And that one's still high. So I'm going to run the highs and the lows. So I'm just going to select the highs and the lows now, and I'll run those again for 1 minute. Okay, so that percent rectification is low. It's 21%. And then also the harmony, alignment, and energy flow. You could see the energy flow is 12%. So I'm going to try, I'm going to deselect the highs right now, and I'm just going to run the lows. They should still be highlighted down there. And I'm going to run those for 30 seconds. So in order to run it below a minute, we need to bring the timer down to 0 minutes. And we could hit play. And then when we touch anywhere on the screen, it will stop. So I'm just going to hit play now. Okay, so we're getting there. It's 31%. we can, let's deselect the lows and just run the highs now for 30 seconds. Okay, so now we're at 28%. And there's a question, and it's a very good question that Tammy asked. And she says, why am I running lows? She understood progressive was categorized as highs only being priority. That's a great question. There are two lines of thought on that. And as I've tried to explain in other Thursday lives, your intention is very strong when it comes to working in the quantum field, working with entangled insights, and using the genius. So there is the thought that the high, mediums, and lows can be viewed as what your to work with the items by priority. So the high would be high priority, medium priority, or low priority, or your highs and your lows could be like your highs in the in the 600 to 770 range, and your lows your 0 to 200 range. So that is the how I have been working with the progressive insights lately, and which is why I've been running the highs and the lows. I also do run all of the items just to get just to work with all of them, because they're medium or not categorized as either a priority or a high or a low. They may not be, they all can always use tweaking and become more in balance all the time. So that is why I am working with them. But Tammy, if you're working with it with the intention that the highs are just your priorities, that that is going to work well for you too. It's really where you find more comfort. I hope that explains things to everyone. I would suggest experimenting with it and see your results as you work with it over time, and how you like working with things. But that's how I'm working with that today. I hope that helps, Tammy. So I forget what we just worked on. Did we run the highs, Claire? I'm going to rescan. So I do want to see those numbers fill up a bit. And I am going to just run the lows again for 30 seconds. And so here, this is much better. We have a 45% rectification, and the harmony, alignment, and energy flow is pretty tight in there. Alignment and energy flow is exactly at 43% and harmony at 41. So that's well within that 20% range. So I'm going to back out now, and I'm going to just open up the main hold tray and clear it. And I'm actually going to go all the way back to the system overview page. And then the next step that I like to do is, if we click on system overview, it brings us to a general overview page. And what this does is, instead of viewing everything by a category, either the biofield, body, mind, or custom libraries, and sort within each library. General overview takes all the line items and puts it in numerical order. And the benefit of this is that you are shown items that are highs and lows, and they potentially may not be items that you would have thought of to look at, but can have great significance given that they are high and they're being stressed in the current moment, and also the ones that are low that are more have been more chronically had an energetic disturbance. So for me, I have so many libraries, I can't just add all my reds to the tray or my reds and the blues to the tray, because I'd have like 10,000 items. So what I will do is if you go to the bottom, just to the left of the main whole tray, you'll get like a little plus button. If I add that, it allows me to add the top 50 items and the bottom 50 items. So that's what I'm going to work with. That adds 100 items to the main hold tray. And this includes all the items from my custom libraries. We can also just quickly look at what some of the items are that are, if I hit this 0 to 100, it will show me the reciprocal view. So now I can see the items that are have been out of balance for a longer period of time. They're more chronic. And we can see some meridian points and also some other just other, we have solve, dismantle, release any and all entity toxins, AI power source tapping, and all other just various items to work with. So those are all in this 100 items. Now, if I click on remove libraries, it now removes all my custom libraries, and it leaves me with just all the line items that come built into the Genius and are shown on your system overview. And I can again do the same thing by adding the top 50 and the bottom 50. So here we see those same meridian points, and then we have other various items that have been added to the main whole tray. Now it only says 198 when I've added 200 items, but these two meridian points were in both categories. So that's why it doesn't duplicate. So that's why it's only 198. So now I will go to Progressive Insights by hitting that play button. And again, we'll repeat the same process. We will hit Begin Analysis. And I'm going to select on the timer 1 minute. And again, I'm going to select all so that all the frequencies will run for 1 minute. Okay, so here again, the percent rectification is 36. We would like to see that above 40%. I'm going to run this for all of them for 30 seconds to see if I can get that just up a little bit.
So essentially, Denise, you're not actually treating it any different than you would a person. You're running it the same as you would a person.
Correct. Yes. And I know that seems a little odd, given that we look at Lahaina, right? And like, well, does it have meridian points, and does it have a chakra? Does it have everything that we're working on with individuals or humans? But the result is basically they're all frequencies. So what's showing up are the frequencies that Lahaina needs. So you have to think a little bit out of the box in these situations. So I hope that makes sense to anybody who is maybe wondering, like, what is governing vessel 23 point or pericardian 6 point have to do with Lahaina, but in reality, they're the frequencies that Lahaina needs. And I went a little bit over my 30 seconds there. Sorry. That's okay. And there's no mistakes here, right? If it happens, it was meant to happen like that. But we were just, we're very close to that 40%. So at 39%, but I am going to rescan, and then I will run just the lows at first. And again, there's no right or wrong here how you do it. If any of you are thinking, well, why am I just selecting the lows first? And sometimes I do the highs and the lows. It's just kind of an intuitive gut feeling. So just go with what comes to your mind first and work with that first. You can't make a mistake. So here I did just select the lows, and I'm going to run those for 30 seconds. And sometimes this quick, short spurts of running the frequencies can actually have a bigger effect than running the frequencies for a longer period of time. I have found sometimes with like fresh injuries, sometimes running the frequencies overnight, let's say you sprained an ankle or you broke a bone, or just a fresh trauma or something that happened, running them for a longer period of time is helpful. But sometimes for things that are more chronic, short spurts, just to like kind of remind you, to like wake up and take in these frequencies is helpful. And so here we have a 42% rectification. And again, the harmony, alignment, and energy flow is within that 20%. So I'm happy there. And now we can deselect the lows and just look at the highs here for 1 minute. Whoops. And again, I will run the highs for 30 seconds as well. It is possible because with Lahaina just happening, and if you think of it on the terms of like a new injury or something, it could be it'd be helpful to run frequencies overnight. Obviously, for demonstration purposes, though, that's not possible. But it could be something that would be beneficial. Okay, and again, 51% rectification and harmony, alignment, and energy flow are close enough to that, within 20% there. So now I am going to back out, and we're on the to get to the system overview page. I'm again going to go to my main hold tray and select clear all. And we can just glance at what's showing up for Lahaina, and just to get a sense of what might be going on. Glands is showing up as something that's stressed now in the present. We're seeing amino acids, today's stress, and organs. So we can look at today's stress. It shows hormonal, adrenals, emotional, lymphatic. And then we have a bunch environmental. Seems to be pretty on point given, what we're looking at. So we can add all of these, the blues and the reds, into our main hold tray. Again, it doesn't equate like you would think it would equate because we're looking at, you know, a place, but we just need to trust in the intelligence of the genius here that in these areas is where um, Lahaina is needing its help. So we've worked with amino acids. We can look at the organs, the eyes, the skin, liver, brain. Again, I find it interesting that the heart shows up here because it's uh, what's what is if we think what the heart does for us, right? If our heart isn't healthy, we're not healthy. So here for Lahaina, its heart isn't healthy right now. It's what it beats to keep it alive. So I'm just going to add the blue and the red items here. Pancreas, if that's not healthy, you've lost the sweetness of life. The lungs, you need to breathe, respiratory, there are fires, breathing. So, and this all could kind of, in a metaphysical sense, make sense to everybody. Again, eyes, skin, liver detoxing and everything. And we've worked with the biofield, but spiritual protection is a big one. So, and especially since we saw that huge black center. So I'm going to work with these again, and I'm going to add all of them, because when we look at the relationship, when we get to progressive insights, we might find that more of these are out of balance. And we're probably looking at some of the darker energies that are at play. And we can add in, I'm going to go to custom libraries now, and there are some Alaskan essences. Whoops. And they're environmental essences that I'm going to add. So I'll add the reds and the blues. And then I want to see what is showing up just here in general. Sorry, guys, I'm just kind of trying to work with my intuition here a little bit to see what's showing up. I feel like there's I'm just going to run these 38 items for right now. Okay, so I'm going to run all of these items for 1 minute. It will be difficult to see anything, any correction immediately. Obviously, there's a lot of work to be done in Lahaina, but hopefully this will help clear the energies around it. Okay, so we had a 52 rectification and the numbers are high. And while that was running, I just felt like we should add in the chakras. So I'm going to add all the chakras in here as well. And then I'm just going to go back and add in actually some Bach flower essences. Just going back to basics here for a minute, as well as the emotions, because there's a lot of emotions that are at play here. So there are some of the red ones, and the blue: frustration, contempt, horror, hatred, despair. And so we can begin analysis again there. Not hearing any.
What that means. If you like, I can search the web for. Hey, so we had a 52% overall rectification. And the numbers are high. And well, that was running. I just felt like we should add in the chakras. So I'm gonna add all the chakras in here as well. And then I'm just gonna
Cancel Siri.
then actually some Bach flower essences, just going back to basics here for.
Well, that was really funny. Siri seems to have the same opinion I do. Okay. It's really strange. I'm just going to hit all and run these for 1 minute. So again, when you're working with faces, really, these are great moments to really work on, your intuitive skills, work on growing that intuition. When you don't really know where to go, just follow what your eye picks up or gets attuned to, or what you're just feeling you should enter. I mean, when I clicked on custom libraries, I just didn't feel like there was something in there that I needed at that moment. I needed to go back more and add more things. So again, there's no right or wrong. It's just kind of follow what your gut is telling you to do. Here we have a 62% rectification. That's great. I'm going to rescan and just work on the close 30 seconds, and then I'll work on the highs for 30 seconds. So here, really good tight numbers. Its overall rectification is 67%, and our harmony, alignment, and energy flow is really very tight and close. So now I'm going to deselect the lows, add the highs, and again, run those for 30 seconds. Then we'll be able to go back and check the aura. And then to close, I'm just going to run the gem elixirs, which are grounding and add stability. So we'll work with those for a few minutes. Okay, again, we have a 49% rectification, so that's great. Let's just go back. I am going to empty out the main hold tray here. Let us look at the aura. So I'm just going to take a picture of this. Whoops. We do have some great bright colors in here. Even the center, the physical, this bright, clear, crisp, brilliant color. Pink is really healthy color. You could see it gets a little bit blurry, so you do want it to be as clear as possible. Otherwise, there could be that's an indication of some interference. But let's hope that we can work on getting rid of some of this. Just think of it as, you want as much light first darkness. It's still dark, but the center again is a bright, brilliant, that's a healthy healing color green. So that's really great. I think that's a good sign that we're doing some good work here. The center is still dark, not quite as dark. So, but we still have blurriness. And again, this red could be anger and rage and fires, and other things that are showing out there. And the old aura, this looks much better, actually. We're seeing some, it's a little disorganized, the color. We would want to see it not as blotchy, but we do see the corners are starting to get filled, where here it may not have been as grounded, but this looks much better to me. I'm sure it looks better to everybody else in that first picture look. So that's all really great. And let's just go now to, we have some time, the custom libraries, and I'm just going to add in, I'm going to add in these experimental, environmental ones along with the, gem elixirs for stability and grounding. And I'm just going to add the reds and the blues here. And again, add those to the progressive insights. And I'm going to hit begin analysis. Okay, and I'm going to run them all for 1 minute. It's interesting if you look at which of the experimental essences are showing up. The Augustine volcano, just solar eclipse in winter in August, but they have, when these were entered, all the description was there. So it is getting the full frequency of the full description, but due to restrictions in the amount of characters, some of it is cut off here. So apologies that you can't read it all. But the solar eclipse balances and harmonizes the feminine and masculine energies. Winter in August was made from melted snow during a powerful storm. And its essence is for the clarification of identity. And then the Augustine volcano, the essence facilitates the positive release of unexpressed energy and emotion. It also teaches us to view intense cataclysmic events such as volcano eruptions and benevolent instruments for change. So we did have an average percent rectification of 43%, and our harmony, alignment, and energy flow is within that 20%. So that is good. So let us just go back and see. This may have stirred things up. So hopefully our aura will still look as nice as. And we can remove this avatar again. And again, we're seeing a little red in the center, but it is getting lighter as we move out. This is still blurry. Would love to see that clearer, but that is looking better to me than it was before. This looks a little disorganized again, and I would run those frequencies, and it's not as I just would run it longer. But this dark section is moving out, so that's healthy, but it doesn't, they're not grounding energies. It would need to run longer to be more grounded. Does anybody have any questions on what we were working on here today? I know it's a little out of the box for everybody, but if anybody has any questions, I can certainly work on that. I'm just going to add in the chakras to this and spiritual protection again, and we can run this. And let's just add the blue and the red neurotransmitter. Sorry, I'm just feeling like we need to add a few things, and I'm just going to run the governing meridian and conception vessel meridian. And we can begin analysis. And we'll run all of these for 1 minute again. And Karen, I see you just entered. We are working on Lahaina, Maui. That's what we're working on in today's session. I do recommend also, just to let everybody know, when you're using your genius and you're working on clearing yourself, our homes, our cars, they're extensions of ourselves. So I would always recommend, if when you have time, it doesn't have to be as frequently. I mean, I always think that, to have energetic hygiene and work on ourselves on a regular daily maintenance, maybe not quite as frequently for our homes and our cars, but there are places that we are in all the time. And if the energy in those places aren't clear, it's only going to rub off on us. So I would definitely recommend and suggest working on those as well for each of you. You can set up your own schedule and when you want to work on those. Our percent rectification here is a little bit low. I'm just going to deselect all and hit low. And highs, and run those for 30 seconds, and then we'll just give it another check. You find you work in an office building all the time. They're the office building. It's different. It's not like working on a person. You don't really need permissions to work on a building like that, but places where you are all the time, it can't hurt. So we have a 59% rectification. I am happy with that. Now let's just go back and see what our aura looks like here. So we're flushing out some of the negative energies in here. We see it along the outside there a lot, and yellow can have to do with some control. Again, this aura looks better than the last one, but it's not filling up the corner. So obviously there's lots of work to be done here still, but little by little. And if anybody has time, you can also work on Lahaina, and hopefully Lahaina Lahaina can get restored and built up and get back to where she was. So does anybody have any questions in the last few minutes they would like me to address? It doesn't necessarily have to pertain to this particular scan that we did today. Do you have any questions on anything in the Genius that you would like me to just touch on before we sign off today? Anyone? So Karen is saying a quarter of British Columbia, Canada is smoke chemical haze too now, low visibility, and I cannot see a mountain 5 miles away. Wow. So yeah. So, I'm sure Karen, you have worked on this before, but again, anyone else, you can work on any areas and to try to send in some good harmonizing frequencies and hope that that will help. Oh, thank you, Julie. Julie says, thanks so much for reaching out to these souls. I feel privileged to be a part. We all are. So thank you. And thank you, Claire. She also, it was, her suggestion to work with Lahaina today. So I appreciate her so much. And so for next week, I look forward to seeing everybody. And if you have any suggestions or questions or something you want to work on, please email me at Denise@Inside Health Apps. And I would be I'm happy to take suggestions and work with it in the following week. So everybody have a wonderful, wonderful week, and we will see you all next week. Thanks so much and have a great day. Bye, everyone.
Bye.